Are you okay if I ask you, because I'm going to keep you about another 10 minutes, 10, 12 minutes. Are you okay if I ask you about some players that I think you might have played with or against? First of all, let's get the first one out of the way, and I've got pictures for the other ones. But playing with Bobby Butler, how was playing with Bobby Butler? Because he's a defense, he was a cornerback too, and you were a linebacker.
Well, Bobby Butler was a #1 draft choice the second year, my second year, and he came in the league. He was like 150 pounds, 55 pounds. You got this real skinny guy, but man, could he run, right?
Yeah.
So we had a group of defensive players at the time that were rough, tough, kind of old school guys. Well, Bobby comes in and he's running. He's a NCAA 100-meter guy, and man, now we're starting to get some talent, some real talent, right? And so Bobby comes in, and not only is he fast, but he's fast, but he works hard. And I think he upped the level in the of competition and all that in the defensive back room. So he helped us, and better than that, he's a great guy.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to bring up some pictures, and you just give me 5 seconds or 30 seconds, your gut impressions. If you never played against them, then don't just say I never played against them, or you can give me your opinion, but it'll be fun. And here we go. Here's the very first one. Do you remember that guy right there?
John Riggins. Absolutely. I remember when he was playing with the Jets, and he actually, I think, left the league for a couple years. And his a thing that best describes him is he is a individual case. He is a absolute crazy individual who, when it came time to play the game, you better watch out. And he was rough, tough. The guys loved to play with him, but he was John Riggins. He was going to do things his way. And playing against him now, you didn't want to hit him up top. In other words, you don't want to hit him shoulder pads up. You better hit him low because he's so strong.
Yeah.
And I remember one time we're playing them, and it's a goal line situation. And what I used to do as a linebacker, the defensive line would take care of the offensive lineman, and then I would come up in the hole and smack him. Or if it was a big pile, I would jump up, and they call it jump the jumper, and I would hit him. So at one time they gave him the ball, and somebody grabbed him by his feet, and I came up and hit him, and boom, it was one of those ooh like that. And he looks up at me like this, says, "Good hit." Next play, they gave it to him. He scored.
Oh, really? Yeah. He's coming back for more.
That's right.
All right, here we go. Here's another one. Now, again, I don't know if you played against him, but Eric Dickerson.
Are you kidding me? I played against him for two times a year for about 7 years, right?
I looked up your schedule.
So Eric, what you didn't want to do is play him on Monday night or a primetime deal. So he was unbelievably fast. He was tall. He was like 6'3". But once he got open and once he saw that crease, he could shoot through it, and then he was gone, right? And the other thing he had was his offensive lineman was like bigger than huge. It was like not quite as big as today's offensive lineman, but they were big, they were skilled, and they only ran like 4 or 5 plays. And 4 or 5 plays they give to Eric Dickerson. So he's a guy that is in the hall and
too, though, he run, if you were to, at least this is what I was told, when you watch him run, he runs so straight up and down. A lot of people are like, you don't want to normally run that way, but he was so good at it. His posture was great when he ran.
Yeah, well, he was a gazelle.
Yeah.
I mean, it was effortless almost the way he ran, but God creates it all differently, and his was more erect.
Yeah.
Guys now that have their shoulders more over their knees, so they're more difficult to hit. He's difficult to hit because he's just so fast.
Yeah. All right, here we go. How about that guy?
Roger Craig.
Yep.
Roger Craig was probably the second best back that I thought I played against, even over Eric Dickerson, because what we respected back then was the guy that could block, could catch, would not run out of bounds when you would go get the extra inch or the extra yard. He was that guy, high effort, and his knees when he ran was almost up to his chest.
Yeah.
And he would bring it to you. So I have a lot of respect for Roger Craig. Played against him many years.
I watched people try to tackle him, and if they hit him wrong with those knees, he'd get hit in the head, and man, it would jar them. It'd knock them almost silly.
Yes, that's right.
All right.
High
Speaking of going for that extra inch, how about that guy right there?
Look, the greatest running back I ever played against. And again, not that he had that much of more ability than everybody else, but his heart and his mind and the way he approached the game. And Chicago used to come down to scrimmage us preseason, and they called him Sweetness, right? And so his teammates would wait on the bus while he signed autographs for almost every kid that wanted to sign an autograph. He was just a great human being, great leader, and he would take it to you as well.
Oh, yeah.
He would block. He would get the extra inch.
He's not going out of bounds.
Yeah, no, and just a great high character guy you respect.
All right, so now these are the guys that I'm going to have to bring up a few more, and you don't have to spend as much time if you don't want to. But running backs got all the glory, the receivers and the quarterbacks, but they're these other guys known as offensive linemen that you might have met a few times. Did you ever play against Art Shell?
I did. Played against Art Shell. They came to Atlanta. It was 95 degrees, and they had their black jerseys on. And I'm going, man, we got these guys today because they're going to sweat. They're going to die,
Yeah.
Man, they beat us like yard ball. And the Art Shell was just a big guy that he would just he was like a bulldozer. He'd come right at you and just knock you over.
I don't think people understand. I've been on the field as far as with you guys, just some of the guys we have at camp, and some of these guys are so big that if you think about trying to see behind them where the running back's going, that's why they tell the running back to go off their butt, because if you're in front of them, you're like, it's 50-50. I'm going to go this direction and hope the running back's there,
Well, what my goal was is to get a bigger guy in front of him so he didn't have a chance to block me one-on-one, because he's like 300 and whatever, and I'm 220 soaking wet, which I was. So.
Yeah. Let's see here. Let me go to this one right here. I want to do a couple of more offensive line. How about this guy was your teammate, Jeff Van Note?
Jeff Van Note. The first time I met him as a rookie, I go into the locker room and I see this guy that's graying, and I walk up to him and I said, I punched him on the shoulder. I said, "Hey, coach, I hadn't met you yet." He stepped back. He said, "You rookie." I'm not going to say exactly what he said. And like, what are you doing? And this guy was a center in his 13th year. Well, that particular year, never forget this. We're playing Dallas Cowboys. People the Falcon fans remember this. We are 12-4, best record in the NFL. We're playing the Cowboys. They had won the wild card game. It's Saturday before we play Sunday. We got Sunday at 4:00, the marquee game, right? So Jeff, we're having a players meeting. Jeff gets up. He says, "Look," he says, "we got the Cowboys tomorrow. Their defensive line, the front four." He said, Randy White,
Yeah,
"I'm keeping this right." He said, "Boomer, you got such and such. You're going to slaughter him." And he went down the line with he said, "We have prepared for this." And I'm going, I'm levitating in my seat. I'm so excited. But here he is in his 13th year playing in the second playoff game, I guess. He knows that we got a great team. And what a great leader, and a guy, you talking about transition, he must have had 8 or 9 head coaches while he was there. He was able to persevere
he becomes a coach on the field a little bit too, I would imagine, for those younger offensive players.
He does.
How about this guy, Mike Webster? Did you ever play against Mike Webster?
So my first game in Fulton County Stadium in Atlanta, I've got a picture with Mike Webster, Terry Bradshaw, and Franco Harris, and the camera is like got me as a linebacker. I'm going, shoot, man, if I never play another down, I got this picture to say I did play, right? So this guy comes out, and it's like his arms are bigger than his legs, and didn't say much, but he had tremendous respect in the league.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Just 2 or 3 more. We'll be done. Russ Grimm, did you ever play against that guy right there?
Played against him several times. Russ was a really good offensive lineman, I'm not going to say better, but he had a radio show. The thing about the Washington Hogs, Redskin Hogs, is almost all of them had radio shows. They were like quarterbacks. with their personality. It was amazing that Redskin team, but he had a tremendous personality.
Wow.
I used to play golf with him in the off season, but they just did their job. They came together and didn't have, I don't think, the best talent, but they just were a machine, and their offensive line was really the basics. And he was one of the leaders on it.
Think about that. We talked about John Riggins. You've got to face that offensive line that's sweeping down the field, and that's the way it was on any good team. And then if it breaks up, there's this guy named John Riggins, and you're like, man, good Lord. All right, let's see, 2 more. I only got 2 more, and these are teammates. This guy right here, I grew up watching this guy play quarterback, Steve Bartkowski. That's who was the quarterback when I was watching the Falcons. He was a teammate of yours. What kind of guy was he?
The greatest guy, the greatest leader. And he did a lot by example. But, as he went, the Falcons go, right?
Yeah.
And I just thought the world of him because he had made a profession of faith, and he lived it out with his teammates. He didn't get involved with a lot of shenanigans. But you talking about can throw any throw on the field, has a great touch. He was just tremendous football, and a tremendous athlete. Here's the thing I would say. He didn't want to play professional football until his senior year in college. He didn't even start for Cal Berkeley until his senior year in college. And then he was drafted #1 draft pick.
Wow. I didn't know that.
He was going to be a professional baseball player.
See, I think people, and this is what I try to tell my people right now, my kids when they were young. Hey, listen, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. People will find you, and talent rises. That's a great example. Didn't want to play, wasn't a starter. All right, this is the last one, and then we'll talk about what's going to happen April 10th just for a few minutes. How about this guy?
Gerald Riggs.
He was kind of a hard-running running back too, wasn't he?
Gerald comes in, I think, 1982, #1 draft pick. Hey, look, we got William Andrews. I mean, William Andrews is the best football player I ever played with. Unbelievable team guy. He could catch, throw back. So now you bring in Gerald, who's faster than William, right? He's just as big, as not bigger, so he's powerful. And boy, he had great vision. And what a great tandem they had for a couple years.
Yes.
And then William gets hurt, and Gerald comes in and takes it to another level. Gerald Riggs was a great football player. And now, as I get to know him later in life, just a wonderful man.
Yeah. He will probably, I'm getting ready to call him in a minute to confirm, but he'll probably, and hopefully if he can, be part of our Kids in Pros clinic April 10th at Boyd Buchanan. So let's do this. Thank you, by the way, for letting me go down memory lane. I picked out a bunch of people that I grew up watching. I'm like, hey, I wonder. The only one I didn't pick out was Earl Campbell. And I think Earl Campbell was on the end. He only was in the league another 2 or 3 years, maybe. I can't remember. Did you play against Earl?
Played against him, yeah, both in Houston and with the Saints, yes.
Yeah, that's the guy that I remember. That's the reason they fixed the jerseys, because this jersey would just rip right off of him because he's running through the tackles. You get out of football, you make your transition. Years and years ago, you started a organization called Kids and Pros Football Camp. It's kind of gone through some transitions with heads up tackling. COVID, of course, kind of put everything on a 1-year hiatus. But tell everybody why you started Kids and Pros, just real quick, and then I'll give the details so people can send their kid to it and their child to it.
We started Kids and Pros because I saw Bobby Butler in front of a group of about 25, 30 kids, and these kids were looking up at him starry-eyed, and every word he said, they were hanging on it. And I said, man, the things that we learn from football, we can teach these kids. They're going to learn it as they go through, but we want to teach them how to love the game, love competition. And as the coaches are reverberating the principles that make for success in life, that football was such a big factor in my life and the lives of people that I knew. And I could say football, but also sports. So we started Kids and Pros in 2002 with 1 football camp. And then next year we had 2. And golly, we've done over 335 camps and clinics over the last 21 years. So the goal is to teach character and the skills through athletics. So the kids who come out and participate they're going to be guys that played in the league or collegiate, and they're going to learn the fundamentals, but they're going to learn about life through guys that had lots of experience.
Yeah, and the thing I liked about it, my son went through it early, and I know a lot of people who've sent their kids are in their 20s now, and their kids have been coming to it since they were 10, 11, 12 years old. And it's the relationships. They look forward to seeing the coaches the next year. The coaches now have a lot of our coaches that have done this with us have been doing the camp almost the whole time. So they see some of these same recurring kids. And, I sent you pictures of Jacob last year. And when you met him, he was 11, kind of doughy and just had that fire. And now he's a grown man. And it's, you kind of watch these kids grow up, even though you're only in the cities that once or twice a year, it still is relationships. And that's what coaching is, right? It's just a relationship with the people.
Well, it is. Coaching's that way. Athletics is that way. And life needs to be that way. You look at where we're at in our country, we need relationships. And if you look at sports is a great way to start. Yeah. Because, again, it's merit-based. It doesn't matter what you look like, what your background is. You come out and you participate, you work hard, you have opportunities, And so, yeah.
That's good. Here's what we're going to do, though. I'm going to put the link again for Kids and Pros. It's April 10th from 9 a.m. to noon at Boyd Buchanan School, 3-hour clinic.